Hi, friends. Gene Valentino from the GrassRoots TruthCast. Mike Lindell's been with us on our shows for nearly 3 years now. Go to mypillow.com, promo code GeneV, or you can call it in. It's 1-800-589-4706. Mike's was a one-problem solution company with one product, the pillow. Today, it's hundreds of items in his website, mypillow.com. Now he's gotten to a point where the word's gotten out and they're having a $25 extravaganza. You can get a 2-pack multi-use pillow set for just $25. You got the My Pillow sandals for just $25. You also have their 6-pack bathroom towels for just $25 a set, and the brand new 4-pack dish towels, just $25. So they have an extravaganza underway right now with many super prices. Good time to start surfing mypillow.com and look through their entire store line of items for holiday gift giving this fall and winter. Thanks for joining us on GrassRoots TruthCast, and thank you, Mike Lindell and the MyPillow family, for being our sponsor on Gene Valentino's GrassRoots TruthCast.
With breaking news and political commentary from a public servant, serial entrepreneur, community leader, philanthropist, and American patriot, and a darn nice guy, it's time for the GrassRoots TruthCast and your host, Gene Valentino.
Hi, friends. Welcome back to segment 2 with Nanda Bhagi here at the GrassRoots TruthCast. Gene Valentino, Nanda's an Indian native, born Eastern Indian native, but is now a proudful American citizen. You know, we are a nation of immigrants. And frankly, that's part of our success, is that we've all come from the different walks of life that Nanda talked about in the beginning. Nanda, let's focus on your foreign policy experience, issues on foreign policy affairs, wars, and leadership. I'm concerned right now that Ukraine is being used as a ploy tactic to encourage a funding source, yes, to Ukraine, but I'm having trouble looking for transparency. Nanda, I can't see where the $150 billion of American money has gone, not to mention the EU and other sources. Now, the difference there is EU lent them the money with an interest rate. The Americans gave it away with no expectation of a payback. My concern right now, Nanda, is where, in your opinion, has that money gone in Ukraine? And then I'd like to broaden the conversation to what's going on with the Arab-Israeli issue, Hamas, Iran, Iraq, and a pending counterattack against Israel. Starting with Ukraine, your take.
Thank you. Thank you. Great question. But before we get into that Ukraine question, let's establish our understanding and the fundamental components of a foreign policy. The 6 different components or diplomacy is number one. So every country is supposed to have a strong diplomatic relations with alliances within the UN Charter 196, and then the national security and economic policy, human rights and humanitarian efforts, international organizations, so collaborate with organizations like WHO and NATO and the UN, and alliances and treaties. So these are the basic components of a foreign policy. And what are the objectives? The objective is make sure our national interest is always a top priority. That means US as a global leader, we need to ensure we are on top of everything and be the first one to take the lead and deliver. And then the global influence, like whether it is some small country, other part of the world, we should have an influence and diplomacy relations to resolve any dispute with zero new wars. Again, things have started back in 1940s and 20s when we are not even born. We cannot change that past. Nobody can change it. But at least we can stop a new war, which is not even needed, because currently we have enough data, enough ways to resolve any conflict in a peaceful and amicable win-win situation. So the objectives, like I said, peace and stability and economic growth, make sure our partners, alliance, they are stable enough to support their citizens and support their systems in place. The problem with the Ukraine is, like, again, this is my understanding. First, there was a change in our government in 2021. If that change not happen, obviously this war will never happen, because the demands of Russia, we agreed to that 22 or 24 years back. We agreed to that, and we again, it's a verbal agreement. I don't know whether they really signed a document. They removed their bases from Cuba, from our 60 to 100 miles from our shore, but we failed to deliver what we promised in 22 years. So that means when they removed their bases from our border, we were supposed to reciprocate the same way, removing our things from Ukraine, and make sure they will never become a NATO member. So those are the basic demands for their own survival. And we did not do it for 20 plus years. We just dragged around. And when this Afghanistan withdrawal happened in August 2022 or 2021, that's when they saw this government will do something bad to Russia. Then it took only from August 2021 to February 2022, it took them to get everything lined up for 6 months. And then they started this Ukraine war. So the point is, this war can be resolved with a diplomacy, just making sure Ukraine is safe, Ukraine citizens are safe, and give enough assurances to Russia that they will not be, any threat from any of them. So that could be resolved in one call. We ended up sending $150 billion, and that money went into these weapons support, this missile support, and then deploying army, their salaries, their cost. So the thing is, again, but we have done $1 trillion destruction there, and we spent 150 billion to make $1 trillion destruction, and we killed 500,000 soldiers in the process from both sides, and another 500,000 innocent families, innocent kids, innocent women, they got killed in where they have no role in this war. If there is a war that somebody wants to fight, let have the president of each of these countries go and fight on a ring. We all cheer up for each of them. That's the way it should be, because if you take back 100 years or 1,000 years, the leaders will go and fight and crowd will cheer for them. But in here, we are killing people, innocent people, with no reason, which can be avoided totally. So that's my take on Ukraine.
What I'm very interested in hearing more about too is, my information, my research and sources tell me that Ukraine is actually on a strong offensive right now. They're in Russian territory, and Russians are pretty much demoralized on a fight they don't quite understand. Putin, with his strong fist, controls and dominates the area. For the first time in America's history, we're going back to the Nixon era, where we're considering a mandatory draft that is being in consideration right now. And that's the specific with war and how it's being handled right now in our failing leadership. But I couldn't help but notice that burning flag behind you. What is the rest of the story behind that burning flag?
Yeah, we let, as you know, in the last 3.5 years, we let officially about 17 to 20 million illegal citizens. And these people, after getting into our country, they're protesting because there is a war going on in Middle East between Israel and Palestine and Hamas. So these guys go to our capital, Washington, D.C., and put in support of this terrorist organization, Hamas, and then they're burning this US flag and putting their Palestine flag. And our government is so silent, they don't want to show this in any of these news channels, major mainstream channels. Again, there is a penalty if somebody burns any flag, any US flag anywhere. There is a 5 to 10 year penalty, prison time. and I don't think anybody got arrested so far. So this is a failure of US administration within our own yard. People are, and that too without a status, without getting into this country in a legal way. They are doing all these demonstrations in campuses, on the street, on the Capitol, and there is no reaction, or no, nobody has saw trying to subsidize this problem, and that's a shame. I want to keep this in the whole interview so that people next 3 months, they have a choice to elect a government which can protect the flag and dignity of people, whereas we are blindly assuming that Democratic Party and democracy are 100% same, whereas Republican, because they sound something different, we do not understand. So the same thing, if somebody try to burn this flag in front of a Republican supporter or Republican, they will die to save this flag. That is
Well,
a level of commitment
yeah,
and patriotism.
there was protest, all right, and there was free speech, but it was exercised without violence, without pillage and plunder, without burning American flags. It was done peacefully on January 6th, 2 years ago, in front of the Capitol, which put many in jail, some of whom are still there. Yet, to your point, right there in the campuses, they're getting away with burning flags, and in the cities, recently in Minneapolis, damaging stores, storefronts, hurting other people. And if anyone was charged, they get off completely without prosecution. And I see a total inconsistency in the way free speech, the right to free speech, has been exercised based on this Marxist approach of an administration which we have now. Folks, we're talking with Nanda Bhagi, a true patriot, an American patriot, an entrepreneur with a very strong engineering and high-tech background. We're going to come into some more conversations with him about all these issues right after this.
Thanks for joining us for Gene Valentino's GrassRoots TruthCast. Be sure to like and subscribe, and God bless America.